If you have ever entertained the idea of hosting your own Airbnb and making money through their business model, then I suggest you stick around for this video because I'm going to share 3 unexpected, unpleasant experiences that I have dealt with, and I just want to share them with you guys and let you guys know how to be prepared and what to expect when starting this business. What is going on, everyone? My name is Robert. Welcome to my channel. Now today I'm going to go over some points that Graham Stephan made on one of his recent videos that he did talking about Airbnb, and I'm going to add to some of the points he made and just sort of share my own experiences that I've dealt with regarding what he mentioned.
And in addition to that, it's also very important to realize that the reason people make so much money on Airbnb is that oftentimes it's a lot of work. I know many people who run Airbnbs, and it's a constant hustle to make sure that everything is cleaned, the house is fully stocked, that all utensils are there, that nothing is broken, that everything is in working condition, and then dealing with tenants' issues as soon as they come in and they have questions, they can't figure out how something works. There's a lot of little intricacies with every single property. And it's also very important to expect a lot of these things to happen, so when you do it, you're not going to be caught off guard.
So in his video, he mentions how it's a lot of work up front, and right off the bat, I'm going to say that it's not really as much work as some people make it seem. And even how much work, he made it seem like it was so much work to deal with, but in all honesty, guys, it is probably 4 to 5, maybe 6 hours a week tops if you have guests staying every single day. So I do about an hour a day to get this place flipped and ready for the next guest, which in all honesty is not bad for the amount of money that I'm making just from having this place operating as an Airbnb. With the other points he mentioned, he said, like what to expect. I'm going to share 3 very sort of unpleasant experiences that I've dealt with in this business, and I want you guys to take them from me and learn from my mistakes and never repeat them in your own business. The first day that we listed this property, we had 3 bookings the same day, and one of those guests, our first guest actually ever in this property, was checking in. He happened to arrive before me and my fiance had bedding on the beds. Now let me break down how this happened. So the first day we had a guest book, we didn't have a washer and dryer on site, and therefore we washed all the linens at a different location and we were bringing them over, which just so happened to be at the same time that the guest was checking in, and it's completely our fault. All of this was something that could have been avoided had we been more prepared. And it just so happened that he got to our property and he got inside, looked around, and he gave us a message. He's like, "Yo, I just checked in. Where are the linens? There's no linens on the beds." We're like, oh crap, this is not good. Not a good first day, not a good first hosting experience. Luckily, the guy was super nice. He was super understanding and super great guy. He was like, I'm easy, don't worry about it. I understand. We sort of pulled the new, hey, I'm new at doing this card, and it was overall not a bad experience. He didn't give us a bad review, but the initial feeling we had internally from that, it was something that I don't want you guys to have to deal with. It was super stressful, super high anxiety situation where you're like, wow, I suck at this, it's my first day. What you can take from my mistake is make sure you have everything prepared before you decide to jump in on it. Even though it may seem like, I'm super excited to get the ball rolling, just make sure everything's in place before you actually list a property. Like having bedding on the beds, such a stupid thing on our part, but I don't know, we lived from that experience, we learned, and we moved forward, and it's never gonna happen again. The second unexpected, unpleasant experience that we dealt with totally had nothing to do with me, but it was the property that I'm using. So it was a weekend, and the pilot light for the water heater on this property, it went out for some reason, and there was no hot water. And I get a phone call early in the morning, and the guest, was like, dude, I'm here at this rental and Airbnb in Springfield, and there's no hot water. I don't know what to say to that. I'm not a plumber. I don't have any expertise in that field. I don't know what to do. So it's the weekend, and I'm like, okay, this is not good. It was actually a Sunday. Very unhappy guest in a property that had no hot water. I mean, I'm sure you guys can kind of gauge how that would be an unpleasant experience to deal with. And I had to, man up. I had to take the situation and take control of the situation, and I ended up calling a plumber. They came out, they relit the pilot light, and within 30 minutes the guests had hot water, but this was already hours after they had planned on checking out because they had a long drive and they had to get to another state. And I don't know if they ever showered or not, but we did get a bad review from that, And like I said, it's nothing that I could have done. I don't have control over the water heater here. It's just one of those things that you have to anticipate and expect to deal with. What I can suggest is making sure you have all top of the line equipment, making sure none of your appliances are sketchy, like none of the, have a functioning water heater. I really learned from that, and it gave me the opportunity to experience an issue that came up in the business, and I dealt with it as fast as I could. I was super communicative with them throughout the whole process. I wanted to make sure that they knew I was there for them and that I understood it was a terrible situation that they didn't have hot water, which I'm sure you guys can easily just picture that in your minds. So with that being said, just make sure you have a reliable property that you move in onto. Make sure that the property that you move in on is reliable. This place is kind of older, but it does the job. So let's move on to the third and last thing that I want to share with you guys out of my own experience. So it's 2:30 in the morning and it's a cold December night, probably around 30 degrees. And my fiance gets 7 phone calls, and finally on the 8th phone call, she picks up the phone and there's a very unhappy guest at the other end of the phone call. Now, the reason this happened is our property, we have a self check-in, which is super awesome because it's all automated through Airbnb's website. So you enter the information one time and then it always sends them a notification on check-in instructions. Our check-in is automatic, it's just a keypad entry and they're in the property, they're at the property, they hit the lock button. It's super effortless, but the bottom doorknob has a lock, and for some reason it got locked when we were leaving the property. Somehow, one way or another, maybe I bumped it or maybe she locked it, my fiance locked it, but the point is that the bottom doorknob was locked and the keypad, regardless if it was locked or unlocked, they couldn't get in because the bottom was locked. And this was something that I never anticipated, and from my experience now, I'm definitely gonna have to do something about that because I don't leave a key with the guests when they check in. So as you guys can imagine, it's 2:30 in the morning and they have to make phone calls. They don't want to be calling us because they know we're sleeping. It's just one of those things that I had to deal with. So I ended up driving over here at probably 2:30 in the morning, 2:45, the dead of night, and I had to unlock the bottom with a key that I had for this property. And they weren't too unpleasant about the whole experience, which I wouldn't blame them if they were, because no one wants to deal with that kind of stuff at 3 in the morning. Be ready for stuff like that. And obviously everything I've mentioned in today's video could have been prevented had I been more aware and been ready for any of that to come up. My suggestion for you guys, if you truly want to be an excellent Airbnb host, be ready for stuff like this and be able to handle these situations with the utmost respect for your guests because they are giving you money to stay in your property. So just be respectful and understand that